morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, ladies and gentlemen, well, there's been a leak. You'll get that in a minute. You see, the official Pokemon Sword and Shield website has gone and updated with news of a new Pokemon. Except, it's not really a new Pokemon. You go on the front page and there's a little bit of a glitch and you have to kind of chase it around and then you eventually... That was a terrifying noise. And you find it. And then it's all kind of glitchy, and there's a little bit of information. There is a blurry, pixelated picture, and it's category something Pokemon, type fighting, height something, weight 257.9 pounds, ability steadfast. Only blank that have survived many battles can attain this blank. When this Pokemon's blank blanks, it will retire from combat. Okay, so of course the big question for all of us, ladies and gentlemen, is hang on a second, what is that? And the answer is, it's a new evolution of Farfetch'd. Although I don't actually think it's an evolution of Farfetch'd, I think it is a new regional form of Farfetch'd. Now, clearly, the way around it is at the moment, it looks a lot like Cubone. That is a Pokemon that just looks like it's Cubone, but it's not Cubone. Looks like Cubone, but first of all, if it was Cubone, why would it be all pixelated out? That would make no sense. And secondly, let's rotate the image 90 degrees, shall we? And if we rotate the image 90 degrees, it certainly looks an awful lot like a Farfetch'd. It's pixelated, but we can see that Farfetch'd has a leek sword and what I want to say is a leek shield. I'm not so certain about this one. We've always known that Farfetch'd has a leek, so it would make sense that leek would become a weapon if it were to become a knight. Now, in terms of having a shield, we're a little bit less sure about this, but it's a knight, it's got to have a sword and shield, so I'm calling it now, ladies and gentlemen. I am putting my leek in the ground. Get it? That is Knight Farfetch'd. Now, to be clear, and Joe from Cerebi will be very mad at me if I don't correct this, technically it's not actually a leak, it's a tease. A leak is something that's not supposed to be out in the wild, but is shown in the wild by someone who wasn't supposed to. A tease is where they show you some information to get you excited for the future. But obviously, with Farfetch'd being the wild duck Pokemon who carries around a leak, it would be downright negligent of me if I were not to make that joke. I'm a dad now, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot leave dad jokes like that on the table without making them. It wouldn't be right or fair. And this looks very much like a new regional form. Now, we have had a new regional form before. And I'm talking about the Galar region. The Galar region, we have actually had Galarian Wheezing announced. Now, Galarian Wheezing is just an evolution of regular Wheezing, but one that is found in the Galar region. And it gains a new ability, and it looks different, and new typings, and blah, 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 blah. Cool. Actually, the really exciting thing about Galarian Wheezing is its ability that turns off all other abilities. That really excites me. That really does open up a lot of opportunities for competitive Pokemon. And similarly, we have seen Galarian Zigzagoon and Galarian Lanoon, and then moving into Obstagoon, a brand new evolution of the Zigzagoon line, which can only be found in the Galarian region. So that's kind of cool. And now we're back with another Galarian form. So why Farfetch'd? I mean, Farfetch'd was always one of the cooler Pokemon from Gen 1. It featured heavily in the anime, and just the design of it running around with a leek was very, very cool. The question is, what's going to happen to Farfetch'd when it becomes Galarian Farfetch'd? Well, one thing we can say for absolute certain, it's going to get an awful lot heavier. As it stands at the moment, Farfetch'd weighs in at 33.1 pounds. Galarian Farfetch'd weighs in at 257.9 pounds. Yeah, that's a bit of a difference, ladies and gentlemen. Having said that, it makes perfect sense because it's a knight. And what do knights have? Armor. and a sword and a shield. So clearly, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Farfetch'd which is being weighed down by weapons and armor. And look, just to take a bit of a break from looking at Farfetch'd for a moment, this makes perfect sense when we remember that Pokemon is on pretty much an English high right now. They are setting the Galar region, well, it's not set in the UK, but it's clearly based on the UK. I think that's pretty obvious at this stage. We've got the Pokemon Centre opening up in London. We've got Worlds happening in London next year. And if we look at the design of a bunch of the Pokemon we've had so far revealed for Sword and Shield, they just look inspired by the UK. We've got Yambo, who's clearly based on a Corgi. We've got the aforementioned Galarian Weezing, who's got the full-on English top hat deal going on. Obstagoon, who we mentioned earlier, is very much based on 70s British punk. And then let's, of course, not forget Poltegeist, maybe the most blatant of all of them, a cup of tea Pokemon. Although technically it's not a cup of tea Pokemon, the Pokemon is the black tea, and then it hides around in pots and stuff. And Knights are absolutely synonymous with the UK, with England in particular. St. George is the patron saint of England, and well, he's a knight what took down a dragon. And that means that on the 23rd of April, we celebrate St. George's Day. We like St. George. We like knights. You've got King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which is down in Cornwall, in my neck of the woods. So I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I am down with a knight motif. So to go back to Farfetch'd then, it's going to be quite a lot heavier. And it's also going to gain the ability Steadfast. The Pokemon's determination boosts the speed stat each time the Pokemon flinches. Every time a Pokemon flinches, its speed gets raised. Now, you would imagine that Galarian Farfetch'd is not going to be all that fast, given that it is weighed down by armor, but we all know that Knights are at their best when they're under siege, so makes kind of perfect sense that would be the case here now, wouldn't it? Now, regular Farfetch'd, the Kanto Farfetch'd, is a normal / flying type, but we know that this is going to be a fighting type. How do we know it's going to be a fighting type? Because the leak literally says that it's a fighting type. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, slightly upset it's not at least partly steel type. Partly steel type would make me kind of happy. It's a knight, sword, shield, metal, all of that good stuff. However, what is a knight's primary focus? Fighting. Like St. George fought the dragon. So, I can live with it being a fighting type. I'd like it to be fighting steel if I'm honest with you. Like my boy Steelix. But I can live with this, ladies and gentlemen. I can live with this. And that's basically what we know at the moment. We know the ability. We know that it's heavy. We know that it's a knight, pretty much. We're very sure that it is Farfetch'd. And I've seen a lot of predictions online. And all of the predictions so far have been Farfetch'd. Like, all of them have been Farfetch'd. So, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, when these kind of things happen, usually it's later on in the same day where we get the confirmation. So honestly, I am expecting to be making a follow-up video in a few hours, showing you all about the Galarian Farfetch'd, the official reveal, what it actually looks like, what it actually does, etc. But I woke up, and about an hour after this had been revealed, popped on the website, etc., and so many people were tweeting at me and talking about it. And my general rule with Pokemon nowadays is that if the conversation is going on, I'm going to get involved. If a lot of my friends are talking about it, it's a kind of thing I should be making a video about. But I'd like to know your predictions. Do you think this is Farfetch'd, or do you think there is something else going on instead? What predictions do you have? I'd love you to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! But please do remember the most important thing, be nice. Cannot stress that enough. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, force me to make a video, or just join in a private conversation, then head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where we talk about other games, and I've got some very exciting things coming up on that channel in the next few days. Stay tuned. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.